I would ask my colleague, do you know the folks? Do you know the folks that were killed that you mentioned? Do you know their names? You brought up a number. Is that just politics? I know I'm supposed to address the chair, but I'm happy to yield a little time to my colleague. Do you know the members of the military that were killed? Sitting there silent, just using it for politics.
All right, guys, you just saw that tiny snippet, but now we're about to watch the full exchange. And let me tell you, if you want to see the difference between someone who has actually served on the battlefield and someone delivering a prepared political speech, this is it. We're watching Brian Mast, a combat veteran who lost both legs in service, directly challenge Hakeem Jeffries. And look, Hakeem Jeffries is doing what many politicians often do. There are the hand gestures, the carefully timed pauses, and the tone that feels more like a performance than a conversation. It can come across like a rehearsed presentation rather than leadership in action. But Brian Mast doesn't rely on a script. He speaks from personal experience. While Hakeem Jeffries focuses on political arguments and framing the issue, Brian Mast focuses on the real-world consequences and the lives involved. This isn't just another floor debate. For many viewers, it feels like a direct reality check. Let's get into the full video and watch how this exchange unfolds.
Why don't you just argue the merits of your position, as opposed to attacking the patriotism of people on the Democratic side of the aisle? When, as far as I'm concerned, the most patriotic thing that we can do is stand up to ensure that our men and women in uniform aren't being recklessly sent into a costly war of choice, more than 12 of whom have already lost their lives, hundreds of whom have been seriously injured. Let's just argue the merits of Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice, and stop the ad hominem attacks, which aren't a sign of strength. It's just a sign of Republican weakness. This reckless and costly war was entered into without any plan, any objective, any exit strategy, any public support, and any approval of the United States Congress. Those are 5 different objective reasons to have a problem with what's going on in the Middle East right now. In fact, we're just trying to help Donald Trump bring to life his own words, that as president, he wasn't going to start wars in the Middle East. He was going to stop them. Donald Trump's own words. Question his patriotism?
I want to thank my colleague for the speech that he just gave. Probably the most hypocritical speech that anybody could give. But I'm glad he gave it, because the truth is I'm well prepared to answer for this. So let's talk about engagements against Iran. What's going on? This is not the first time that this happened. Joe Biden was engaged against Iran. Why? Because of imminent threat. But let's examine the difference between when Joe Biden was engaged and President Trump was engaged. When Joe Biden engaged is because the Houthis, a direct arm of Iran, was attacking the United States of America, ships, merchant marine vessels, doing what they've been doing for decades, picking a fight. President Biden launched Operation Prosperity Garden against Iranian-backed Houthis, and that went on, not for 30 days, not for 60 days, not for 90 days, not for 6 months, went on for almost a year until January 2025, from November 23 till January of 25. And what happened during that time? How many times did my Democrat colleagues or Republicans offer a war powers resolution to say, remove all U.S. forces from this fight against Iran? I have the counter down here, it's 0. But before President Trump ever conducted any level of operation, Democrats introduced the removal of U.S. forces from hostilities with Iran. Today, again, doing another war power. What changed? What changed from not one war power from anybody to half a dozen? And I guess we're going to do another one next week. Politics. Everything that my colleague just talked about, his hypocritical remarks about we need to do these things, it's all politics. My Democrat colleagues are not paying attention to national security at all. They refuse to acknowledge the imminent threat that Iran has been, them killing our service members, them attacking us in place after place. They don't acknowledge it. When Joe Biden was responding to merchant marine vessels being attacked, it was okay. No war power needed. Went on for about a year. President Trump responds, war power, war power, war power, war power. Every week that they can do it. They tried doing it last week as well. That's the hypocrisy. My colleague brought up some of our service members that were killed. Take that very seriously. Seen it far too many times. That beautiful flag behind the speaker draped across caskets. Take it seriously every time. I personally believe that any time that a service member is killed, they should be lying in state, lying in honor here beneath the dome of the U.S. Capitol. I think they earn it more than anybody killed in action in defense of this country. That's my own personal belief on that. I would ask my colleague, do you know the folks? Do you know the folks that were killed that you mentioned? Do you know their names? You brought up a number. Is that just politics? I know I'm supposed to address the chair, but I'm happy to yield a little time to my colleague. Do you know the members of the military that were killed? Sitting there silent, just using it for politics. My brothers and sisters in arms are not politics.
Take a look at Hakeem Jeffries here. There's a lot of finger-pointing and strong language. He describes the situation as a reckless war of choice and criticizes the opposing side's rhetoric. He also raises concerns about the lack of an exit strategy, a point often heard in policy debates. But to some viewers, the delivery can feel more like political theater than substance. Now compare that to Brian Mast. He responds by calling out what he sees as inconsistency and brings up past actions to support his argument. He references earlier military actions and questions why there was less criticism at the time. That contrast is what stands out. While one side focuses on broader political messaging, the other emphasizes specific examples and accountability. Then comes a powerful moment. Brian Mast brings up the reality of military sacrifice, the flag-draped caskets and the individuals behind them. He shifts the discussion from abstract policy to real human cost. At one point, he directly challenges Hakeem Jeffries with a question about the individuals being discussed. And in that moment, the tone of the exchange changes. There's a pause. And that pause says a lot. For many watching, it highlights the difference between prepared remarks and unscripted reality. By the end, the contrast between the two approaches is clear. Hakeem Jeffries continues with his broader argument, while Brian Mast keeps bringing the focus back to people, responsibility, and consequences. For some viewers, Brian Mast comes across as grounded and direct. For others, Hakeem Jeffries is raising important policy concerns. But either way, it's a moment that leaves a strong impression. What do you think? Did Brian Mast go too far? Or was it a necessary challenge in a serious discussion? Drop a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. And if you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.